49ers most to blame for blowout loss to Seahawks in Divisional Round. Here we'll try to look at and discuss the 49ers most to blame for their blowout loss to the Seahawks in the Divisional Round. For the San Francisco 49ers, this loss was a humiliation layered with inevitability. A season that once carried Super Bowl promise ended flat, fractured, and over almost as soon as it began. From the opening kickoff to the final whistle, the 49ers were overwhelmed by a Seattle Seahawks team that looked faster, better prepared, and utterly ruthless. Injuries played a role, sure. The hostile environment mattered, of course. That said, neither explains how a proud franchise walked into a divisional round matchup and walked out with one of the ugliest playoff defeats in its modern history. The nightmare. In a historic 41-6 rout, the 49ers were eliminated from the 2025 postseason by the top-seeded Seahawks in the NFC Divisional Round on Saturday. The game took a catastrophic turn immediately when Seattle's Rashid Shaheed returned the opening kickoff 95 yards for a touchdown. That ignited Lumen Field and set a brutal tone. From there, it only got worse. The injuries to George Kittle, Fred Warner, and Nick Bosa, among others, caught up with the Niners. They never found traction on either side of the ball. The offense failed to score a touchdown. They settled for 2 Eddie Pinheiro field goals, while Seattle running back Kenneth Walker carved up San Francisco for 116 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Seahawks' dark side defense forced 3 turnovers. These included a Brock Purdy interception and a lost fumble. Seattle held the 49ers scoreless for the final 34 minutes. With that, San Francisco's Super Bowl hopes disintegrated. Here we'll try to look at and discuss the 49ers most to blame for their divisional round loss to the Seahawks. QB Brock Purdy. This loss was not solely Purdy's fault. However, it was the kind of game that demanded he be more than solid. Purdy completed 15 of 27 passes for 140 yards with no touchdowns and 1 interception. He added 37 rushing yards while also losing a fumble. Purdy played hard and showed toughness. He even flashed aggression as a runner. Still, the truth is that the offense needed Purdy to elevate everyone around him. He couldn't. Seattle's coverage took away the middle of the field. The pass rush collapsed the pocket before routes could develop. Without a healthy supporting cast, Purdy's physical limitations became more apparent. He struggled to push the ball vertically and couldn't consistently escape pressure once the Seahawks disrupted the timing. That doesn't erase what was otherwise a very good season. In this moment, however, Purdy wasn't a difference maker. Against Seattle, a distinction mattered. RP Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was one of the few 49ers who showed up with urgency. That said, even he was rendered mortal. McCaffrey rushed 11 times for 35 yards and added 5 receptions for 39 yards. His most productive plays came through the air. That's where he found pockets of space when the offensive line could briefly hold. On the ground, however, he had nowhere to go. Game script worked against him. Seattle's disciplined front erased cutback lanes almost immediately. McCaffrey also battled through a stinger in his left shoulder that forced him off the field twice. That further limited his impact. When your offense is reduced to field goals and your best player can't impose his will, the outcome is rarely favorable. If there was a single unit that collapsed under the spotlight, it was the secondary. Seattle made a point of attacking whoever the 49ers put on the field. San Francisco never adjusted effectively. Renardo Green struggled early and drew the ire of Kyle Shanahan after a second-and-long conversion to Cooper Kupp following a sack. That frustration boiled over, leading to personnel shuffling that only made matters worse. When Diamondor Lenoir and others rotated out, Seattle targeted their replacements. Jackson Smith-Njigba ran free. Jake Bobo converted key third downs. Coverage busts turned manageable situations into drive-extending disasters. Marcus Seigel, thrust into a larger role, frequently played in position. However, position alone doesn't make plays. A pass interference penalty set up Seattle's first offensive touchdown. A missed tackle on Kenneth Walker led directly to another. It was a night defined by almosts and not quits. In the playoffs, that's fatal. Run defense. The Seahawks just dismantled the 49ers' run defense. Walker repeatedly found daylight, and Seattle easily manipulated San Francisco's linebackers. D. Winters looked overwhelmed. He misread plays and got washed out early. Eric Kendricks and Garrett Wallow, solid contributors a week earlier, were exposed as depth options against Seattle's physical, well-schemed attack. Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak crafted a plan that forced linebackers into impossible choices. They used motion-pulled linemen and had receiver blocks to create clean lanes. The result was a Niners defense that looked hesitant, reactive, and exhausted long before halftime. The harsh reality. This might have been a reckoning for San Francisco. Injuries mattered. Environment mattered. But preparation, execution, and adaptability mattered more. Seattle dominated in all three. The 49ers were outcoached, outmuscled, and outmatched from the opening kick. San Francisco entered this postseason believing it could win anywhere. On Saturday night, it learned how fragile that belief becomes when things go wrong early and when there's no counterpunch ready. The 49ers were not just eliminated by the Seahawks. They were peeled open and exposed.